This this is about mass shootings. I definitely don't want to talk about this, but I think I have to do it. I can't ignore it, pretend it's not happening. There were two more mass shootings in 2 days, bang bang, just like that. 20-some people died in the first one, and I say 20-some because people who were mortally wounded are still alive and in the process of dying. 10 people died in the second incident, and that number rings out because the police responded immediately and killed the shooter. He'd only had about 30 seconds to fire his weapons. 30 seconds, 10 dead, and about 20 wounded. He had over 250 rounds of ammunition left. We are now in the aftermath. Politicians, the president, governors, mayors are visiting the cities where the shooting occurred. And there are people protesting these visits. Some blame the shootings on the president and say he has no right to make those visits. They say he promoted the culture of guns and violence. 2 shootings in 2 days. The feeling is strong that something has to be done, but there is little agreement on what exactly. The simplest solution is loosely filed under the general heading of gun control. But that does not seem possible, doable at this point. It would be like mastering the weather or taming the seas. Any law that is passed would be followed by those who pose no threat and ignored by those who do. But that feeling is now overwhelming that we must do something. People are holding up signs that read, "Do something." And you can read that as "do something" or "do something." Do something. What can we do? I listen to talk radio, and people are blaming cell phones. They say we are alienated from one another. And they blame social media. People are singled out, mocked, bullied, isolated, and eventually one such target gets his hands on weapons and turns like Carrie on his tormentors. And they blame video games, those first-person shooter games. They say people make the transition from the virtual destruction in the game to going at it in real life, real guns, a much bigger kick. So you have people killing for the thrill and for retribution, and maybe they lash out and kill a family member or two and think, fuck it, what do I have to lose? May as well go out big, and they head out to a shopping mall. Or maybe they hate some ethnic group, and the news keeps banging away at them until they can't stand it and they start shooting. I've heard some people say that it is liberal toleration of all sexual tendencies that gets some others off and makes them want to kill, driven by a righteous fury. I've talked about war and suicide, and how going to war is like suicide. You give up your right to safety and security. You agree to die, and you agree to kill when you go off to war. And because it's war, the killing is justified. It isn't murder. And I think many of these shooters are like Tim McVeigh. They sense a terrible wrong or movement in a direction they cannot permit, and so they do lay down a plan, and then they go to war. And with the guns and explosives we have that are legally accessible to anyone, that are currently in the hands of millions of people, private, deadly wars can be waged. Crusades, jihads. One way or another, these people have had enough, and they go to war. It has not been like this ever before, where individuals have access to incredible firepower. We are now reaping that particular whirlwind. You know how they say, you do something and it comes back to bite you? Well, it sure as hell is biting us now. And the last little straw in the equation that is tossed in, that would be mental health. The problem is defining it and locating people who are deranged. Some of these potential shooters go into a mode where they are hardwired, hyper-sane. Everything is clear to them, especially their mission. They are capable of intricate planning and tight security. They are at war. When they are ready to strike, they write their manifestos, head for a gun-free zone, and start shooting. Do something? More background checks? Banning assault rifles? How about this? Get ready for the next one.